Welcome back to a new episode of Friends Green Porsche Prep Book. In this episode, we're going to be looking at two 997 Generation 2 cars that we've just taken into stock. There they are, stood behind me. And what we're going to do is show them as they came in. We're going to show them after they've been fully detailed. We're going to show the photographs being taken for the advertisements. We're then going to show them going into the workshop and having their inspections done and showing the mechanical defects that need sorting before they go up for sale. And then what I'm going to do in a sec, which will be at the end of the video, is talk about the two cars and why we don't sell many like this particular car, which is a convertible. Right, evening all. Welcome to FGP Prep Book. And as you can see, it's night time. I've had a bit of a late one today. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to take a video now and do it a bit like I used to do these videos in the early days, where I used to show me going and pick them up. So what we've got, I've probably given it away already in the thumbnail and the title to the video. We've got two 997 Gen 2s, and we're just going to show the whole story of prepping them. So I've got one in front of me on the trailer, which is our kind of usual guys. A manual coupe in meteor grey. It's got some really interesting spec on it. And then over there in the dark, I'll go and grab it in a sec when I've got this off the trailer, we've got a cabriolet, which is unusual for us. Let me get this off. But yeah, it's been a long old day. I don't know, have I said? It's Easter Monday today. This is what I've been up to. It's been a long one. Let me have a look how long. What have we done? 328 miles, 7 hours, 20 minutes of travelling. It's probably, what time is it now? It's 10 o'clock. I set off probably about 11, so it's been about an 11-hour day. Okay, so here we are. Let's have a quick look at the coupe. So meteor grey, although you're not really going to be able to appreciate that. We've got turbo wheels on this. It wasn't spec'd from factory, but you could get them from factory. We could get turbo style, but these are actually turbo wheels, so they're a little bit wider on the rear. They're 305s with a bit more offset rather than 295s would be standard. The car didn't come with sports exhaust from factory, but it was retrofitted a few years ago with genuine parts. So we've got the switchable sports exhaust. It's also at the same time been fitted with cruise control. A nice upgrade. They haven't got the sport design wheels, either of them, with the flappy paddle, which is my preference. We've got sports seats with the shoulder supports. They're also fully electric with the lumbar support adjustment as well. We've got the dynamic lights that turn as you go around bends. You're not going to be able to see that. And it's an early car. It's actually on an 08 reg, so it's a very, very early one. So that's car number one. Well, actually, let's call this one car number two, because I picked up this one latterly today. 71,000 miles. Now the other car is a cabriolet, also an early car. This one will be on a 58 reg. As you can see, he's got a private plate on there that he's going to retain. It's got its original 19-inch Carrera S wheels, but as you can just about see, they've been refurbished in gloss black with a red outer rim. So you can guess what we're going to do with those. It's also, as you can probably tell by the two, if you look how that car sits, and then look how that one sits. Sorry if that's making you dizzy. It's a bit lower. So what we're going to do, I think we'll put the wheels back to silver first, see what we make of it, but probably put original springs back on it. Spec wise, we've not got the dynamic lights. You might be able to just about tell the difference. Maybe not. It's a basalt black car with a black hood and a black interior. We've got the illuminated Carrera S kick plates, which are very nice. We've got the cooled seats, which I've only actually come across in the convertibles, I guess, because when you've got the roof down and it's a very hot day, you're getting too hot still, so you need the seats. Other bits and pieces, steering wheel controls. Again, we've not got the sport design wheel with the flappy paddle. I mean, that's something we can retrofit and have done a lot before. We've not got the switchable sports exhaust, but what this chap has done is removed and deleted the centre back box, so we'll show that on the ramp. So it has got a bit more noise about it. I mean, I'm not going to rev it too loud and wake up my brother in the house. Not got cruise either. Yeah, another nice car. We've got Bose. The other one's got Bose. We've got automatic dimming rear view mirror, memory seats, electric again. I think actually, well, I know he's put tinted windows on as well, so again, you can guess what we're going to do with that. So there we are. It's a Saturday afternoon today, and we've got an update with the two cars, so I thought I'd show you what I'm doing today. So both cars have been fully detailed and they're ready for their advertisement photos. So that's what I'm doing today. I thought I'd show that being done so I can properly explain the kind of process that the cars go through here while we're getting them ready. So firstly, they'll come in, obviously, like as you saw. I'll take preliminary notes when I go and see the cars if they don't get brought down to us. They then get detailed, as has been done by Brad. They're both looking fantastic, but we'll see that in a sec. They'll go out, get photographed, and the walk-around video taken. They'll then go into the workshop and have their FGP comprehensive inspection and report. We then know what work we're doing to the cars in preparation for sale, and the adverts can then be written. So, yeah, let's get these out, have a look, and get these photos taken. Right, that's all the advertisement photos taken and the two walk-around videos. Tips for taking advertisement photos. I'm quite methodical. I like to get the cars in the same position at the same angle and me stood in the same position, just so the different cars all have the same pictures on their advert. I just think it looks better on the website. I also obviously use the same backdrop, just so when the cars are on different websites, it's distinguishable that that is Friends Green Porsche. It becomes almost your trademark. People recognise it. With the picture taking itself, I used a lensed camera, and I think, I mean, I'm no photographer, but a good tip is to use as much of that lens as possible. So stand right back, use the lens, and it puts the car in a better perspective. Whereas if you get up close with your phone camera, for instance, it makes the car look a bit distorted and almost a fisheye kind of camera look. I put the camera on the manual setting as well, and then you can self-adjust the exposure and the contrast. So if it's a very sunny day like this and you've got the camera set on automatic setting, it might look quite washed out and too bright, so you can adjust that down. And likewise, if it's a dim day and overcast, the picture might look quite dim and dark, so you can adjust the exposure just to get the right kind of balance. Anyway, I'm waffling on. Let's have a quick look at what the cars look like after being detailed. So Brad has completed what we call the FGP day's worth of car detailing. The main job involved, I suppose, is the 2-stage machine compound polish. So you go over with a kind of either a coarse or a medium, and then a finishing compound just to get rid of all those swirls. So the paintwork is really, really good on both cars. A ceramic wax is applied. The rubbers around all the windows and everywhere are all thoroughly cleaned, because they should be kind of a matte colour like that, and they're usually very gloss from dirt, basically. We've got a very good trim restorer, not a kind of shine stuff you put over the top, but a restorer to go on the trims, like the plastics there and around the mirrors. Obviously they're very thoroughly cleaned inside. So yeah, they both look fantastic. If we go and look at the black convertible car, I've got that sat around the front of the workshop ready to go in for the inspection that I'm going to do now. But you may have noticed the wheels have come back from refurbishment and now are silver. Bit of a shame really, because the wheels before had just been refurbished, but they were black. So, you know, we like originality. I think we're going to raise the car back up as well. As you can see, it's lowered, and it's a bit of a shame for the advert photos. It's going to be lowered in them, but I'll state in the advert the standard springs to go back in. Right, let's get this one in the workshop. That's inspection number 1 done, with pretty good results actually. But I already knew that from my preliminary inspection I'd done when I bought the car. So let's kind of quickly run through the bits and pieces. So what have we got? We've got the offside headlight washer jets inoperative. So we'll most likely need a new jet unit. Unfortunately, you've got to take the bumper off to get to these ones. We have got air conditioning's not working, but the usual suspects are okay. The condensers are okay, they're not leaking, they've not got damp patches on them, and the pipe work along the sill there is okay, because I removed one of the under trays to have a look during the inspection. So we're going to have to do a leak test with my bench here, and potentially a nitrogen leak test. Or it may be one of the rare occurrences where it's actually just out of gas. We will see. Let's keep going down. We've got 4% moisture content in the brake fluid, so I will show you this. So your brake fluid reservoir on your 997 is found here in the luggage compartment. You remove the cap, and then also remove, he says, the filter. Put my handy little tool in there. Look at that. We've got at least 4% moisture content in there, so we'll be doing a brake fluid change. So why is moisture content bad in the brake fluid system? Well, moisture is compressible, and therefore it's going to compress in the brake lines under your pedal. So it's going to give you sponginess to your brakes. Right, what have we got next? The coolant. So the coolant is an insufficient strength. So again, I'll show you this. Another handy and cheap tool. So here is your coolant reservoir in your 997. Make sure that it's cold. You shouldn't be opening while it's hot, because it'll be under pressure and could burn you. So if you look at that dial at the bottom, I can't point to it, it's actually only at, well, somewhere around a normal freezing point of water, about 0 or 1 degree Celsius. If I get rid of this, and put it in our pre-mixed stuff down here, we go. Good to minus 22 degrees Celsius. So we'll need to do a coolant flush and change. So this is where it starts to become interesting in my mind anyway, in the underbody section. Now, the first highlighted thing we've got here is suspension related, and this is where I start to become upset with whatever garage last worked on this car, and I'll explain why. So that first highlighted item, offside front shock absorber, is corrosion eating into the top of the struts. Now, this is quite common. We see it in a lot of 996s, 997 Gen 1s, and we're now seeing it on the 997 Gen 2s. So here we've got a nice new top mount, a nice new top bearing, a nice new bump stop, new lowering springs, as we spoke about, from H&R. But if we look at the shock absorber itself, you can see corrosion eating into the top of the strut there quite substantially. And if there was any doubt whether this was the original shock or not, if you come underneath and look at the shock absorber body, which is there, it's quite heavily corroded. Now, that would be okay if it wasn't for the bit corroding and eating into the top of the strut, because that's just the outer body and is superficial, but it's a good indication that the shock absorber is very old. Now, if we look at the near side, if that sun glare will go away, that shock body, although slightly corroded at the bottom, is much, much better and has clearly been renewed at some point. Now, it's the near side that we're looking at now that does suffer the corrosion and wear mostly and first, because it's, of course, next to the verge and goes through the potholes and the puddles. But it's standard practice to replace items like that across the axle in pairs, because that side's still done the same mileage and is going to be closely following that side in terms of wear. And they've had the whole front shock absorber down to change the top mounts anyway, so I don't know, it doesn't seem a very efficient way of doing it. It's certainly not how we do it, but we will carry on. So next, what have we got? Right, we've got play in the near side of the front steering. Now, I can't do this on my own, but I've been rocking the wheel back and forward from side to side there, like that, and you can feel play in the steering. So it's the inner or outer track rod, but I've been underneath and we've got a new track rod end here. They've also done this side, so they have done something in pairs, but they've not done, which I can't get here, the inner track arm. So that's going to be at fault. So I imagine they've been trying to find this play and they thought they've solved it, but they haven't. So we're doing an inner track arm. The next thing on the report is pretty unremarkable, but I'll show you anyway. On the near side suspension, front and rear, mounted to the lower control arm, that is this, we've got this little rod. And this rod is attached to a sensor. And what this is for is when you go over bumps and whatnot in the road, this lower control arm obviously goes up and down with those bumps, and that rod attached to the lower control arm tells the sensor that you're going down these bumps, and that sensor will then adjust the height of the headlights at the front. It's only on the Xenon Litronic headlights and not the halogen ones, but of course all Carrera S's come with the Xenon lights. We've got one on the rear as well, which is that longer thin one you can see just there. But the one on the front here is seized. So if I can hold the light in the same hand as the camera, that rod should turn on the ball joint there and the ball joint there with ease, but it's not, it's seized. So that can't move up and down, and therefore our self-leveling Xenon headlights are not working properly. So that will either need to be removed and those joints cleaned up, or it will need renewing. Okay, more reasons to be upset with that garage that last worked on this car. So crossover coolant pipes, we're always doing those on 997s. We know they're a weak point. Right, let's go on to the offside and have a little look. So here we go. I'll zoom in. Nice new crossover pipes. We've got a new rubber hose there, and we've got a new aluminium crossover pipe. Great, we don't need to do that job then. No, you'd be wrong. Let's go on the opposing side. And there you have it. That garage have dropped the front subframe and replaced just one of the aluminium pipes and two of the rubber hoses, rather than both aluminium pipes and all the rubber hoses. So all that labour, about 4 or 5 hours labour, and they've only done half the job and the other side is leaking. For the sake of, I don't know, the crossover pipes themselves are about 300 quid for the full set. So they've saved 150 quid, and now we've got to do a 5-hour job again and do another wheel alignment. So I was just thinking, and it's probably that same garage that's guilty for the lack of concentration strength in the coolant system as well, because if you think about it, they've just replaced that crossover coolant pipe, and therefore they've lost a lot of fluid out the front end and had to top it back up. So yeah, they've not put enough concentration strength in the coolant. They've done half a job on the crossover pipes, replaced only one shock absorber when both need doing, and they've done front top mounts anyway, and therefore had the front suspension down. And they've done outer track rods to try and get rid of that play, but yet we've still got play on the inner track arm on the near side. Ollie's going to love it when I tell him about this. In fact, I might give him a ring. He hates it when I ring him on a Saturday, but we'll see what his reaction's like. Probably won't answer. Come on, Ollie.
Welcome.
Oh, he doesn't want to talk to me about coolant pipes today.
But the person you've...
Hello, Ollie.
You're right.
Yeah, thanks for ringing me back.
That's all right.
I know you don't like me ringing you on a weekend.
That's all right, it's not to worry.
So, my girlfriend's not here, obviously, because she's got COVID. So guess where I am?
In the workshop.
How did you know that?
Because I can imagine you wanting to be in any other place.
So I'm down here tinkering away, doing some inspections, and I just thought you'd want some news. So I've just done an inspection on a 997 Gen 2. What is the most common job?
Over engine gearbox pipe.
No.
On the 997?
Yeah.
Probably a steering rack pipe.
No.
Probably. Go on, hit me. Crossover pipes.
So I've just put it in the air and thought, oh,
Yeah.
great. There we go. Lovely new coolant pipes. We don't need to do those.
Yeah.
And then I went to the other side, and the other side's leaking. So they've done one side and not the other.
Really? Why?
How does that make you feel?
Annoyed.
And then I've gone to look at the suspension, and there's a new shock absorber on one side and an absolutely knackered one on the opposing side.
Right.
So that's it, really. I just thought I'd ring you and let you know.
Is that all?
That's it, yeah, literally, that's it.
You're just baffled by that.
Are you going to sleep tonight? Because I'm not.
Oh, that's not to worry.
What are you doing?
Oh, I've just been to Cambridge. We
Oh,
went to that. Did you see my burrito?
I did see your burrito. That looked really nice. Can we get burritos?
So good. It's called Nana Mexicana.
Can we get burritos on a Friday again, like we used to?
Yeah, but it needs someone to go to Bulldog.
Jack doesn't like them, but I don't care what Jack likes.
Oh, I'll send you a picture.
Second inspection done, let's give you the lowdown. So we've got a noisy spoiler operation. Probably hasn't been cleaned and greased in a while. The spoiler drives. No sound coming through the speakers, so that'll need investigation. Everything else is working okay. It could just be a fuse. So that needs looking into. We've got inoperative air conditioning, which we'll come to in a moment. Missing locking wheel nut removers. We've got 2% moisture content in the brake fluid to this car, so we'll be doing a brake fluid change in this one too. Coolant strength is good. Right, air conditioning. So where do you reckon the guilty parties are? Well, there they are, as we've seen many a time. Air conditioning condensers, wet damp patches indicating a leak. They're very, very stone damaged as well, so it needs 2 condensers. Carry on. Right, I need to raise the car for this. We're onto the suspension. Here we are at the back of the car. Now, when doing the inspection and report, I like to do the test drive part of the inspection first. And the reason for that is, if I hear or feel anything untoward on the test drive, I'm going to be extra diligent on parts and components that could be the causation of that funny feeling or noise. So on the test drive, I've noted that the handling feels strange. The wheel alignment feels out, it feels kind of flighty and wandery. So I've been extra diligent when inspecting the suspension, and what I've found is on the near side rear, here we've got the lower control arm, and that adjustment there will adjust the rear camber. Now look, you can see whoever's done the wheel alignment last has marked it up there and there, so if it comes loose or moves, you know. So look, that's moved, and it's the same story, if I can show you, on the toe adjustment there. You can't see it. We've got the toe adjustment just here, and the marking again isn't lined up. So, I mean, I've had a spanner on there and they're not loose, so I don't know what's happened there, but we can loosen up the nut on the other side, put those back onto those markings, and see how much better it feels. Like with the other car, I've got, I can feel play in the steering rack, so that's going to be the track rod end or the inner track rod arm, but I need a second person. Usually you'll move the wheel side to side like this, and you'll have someone with their fingers holding on to the track rod end or onto the inner arm, and they can usually feel it. So I need a second person to identify what exactly it is, but I can feel it in both sides. And also, again, on the test drive, there's a rattle on the front suspension. Back at the rear of the car, our last noteworthy fault is on the exhaust system. So look, the manifold and the cat are kind of one part on the Generation 2 997, unlike its predecessors. And if we look at the fixings here that go from the manifold / cat to the centre pipe section, we've got a flange. Now, this flange has 3 nuts and bolts securing it. And if you look at this one and the one at the top, they still represent a hex head and are clearly fairly new. But if you look at the third one here, that does not represent a hexagon head anymore, and is very close, well, to just being dust. And when it does, that's going to start leaking out of there on that gasket, and we've got the same story on this side. So we need to grind off that or try and hit it through with a punch and replace those fixings.